Woman who was shot by police in Waukegan, Illinois. She's speaking out publicly for the first time since the shooting last week. While sitting in her hospital bed yesterday, Tafara Williams said the officer kept shooting at her and her boyfriend, Marcellis Stinnette. I believe he's 19 years old, even though both had their hands raised and were unarmed. And on the line, of course, representing the family, attorney Benjamin Crump, to give us more details on what's going on there.
Morning.
Attorney Crump?
Good morning, Hair Crack.
What up,
yeah,
man?
it's just, hey, brother, we just fighting all over the country when you think about what's going on in Philadelphia. And I'm here in Chicago with the family of Tafara Williams, who had just turned 20 years old, was in the car with her 19-year-old boyfriend, Marcellis Stinnette. And, you know, the police literally tried to justify shooting and killing him and shooting her 4 times. She's in the hospital now recovering. Don't know when she's going to be released, but it's just tragic because she watched the love of her life die. Where she had her hands up, he had his hands up, they had the lights on in the car, you know, yelling, "We don't have a gun. We didn't do anything," and the police shot. So the video is going to be released today at 10:30 because when we first got involved here, Craig, they were saying, "Oh, well, she was backing into the police, and so he had to shoot." Well, we then said, release the video. We demand transparency. So it went from trying to charge her with a crime to they fired the officer, and now we want to see the video because we believe the officer should be charged with murder and attempted murder, but trying to execute these young black people who pose no threat to him, because when it's us, they shoot first and ask questions later. We see that in Philadelphia. We see this outside of Chicago. I mean, it's happening everywhere. We saw it down in Austin, Texas, with Jonathan Price. And so this is an epidemic that's happening in America, and we got the officer fired, but now we got to have the prosecutors do their job and make sure they hold these killer cops accountable. And that's why elections have consequences. Senator Kamala Harris and I put on the phone with Tafara yesterday, and she pledged, their support for accountability and transparency, and obviously prayed condolences for her baby's father because they have a 7-month-old child together. These just 2 young black people who were profiled by the police. He's dead because he was black, and now she's going to have physical rehabilitation, all kind of mental therapy, watching your baby daddy kill, and you got to raise a 7-month-old child, a black male child in this world by yourself. And so we're
Benjamin Crump,
everybody.
This is terrible, man. And actually, we have some audio from Tafara Williams here. Check it out.
Good.
The officer was shooting at us. The car ended up slamming into a building. I kept screaming, "I don't have a gun." But he kept shooting.
Now, Benjamin Crump, for those who just joined us, we're talking to attorney Benjamin Crump. I know you have to be tired of traveling because, I mean, like, it seems like every few weeks there's another situation that you got to come alive for and, fight for the civil rights of the people. Now, has there been any movements on just, like, laws that protect us better from this happening over and over again? Because we're seeing the same narrative continue to happen.
So there have been over 100 cities that have implemented new laws and policies since the death of George Floyd. And whenever Tafara, you get the audio, I'll be quiet. But I want us to recognize the fact that because of the protests and the activists, we have been making substantial changes, but yet we have to keep pushing because we're fighting against 400 years of racism and oppression. And so it's not going to be something that happens overnight. It's going to be a continuous journey to justice. And so I want people, especially young people, to know that, from the death of Emmett Till to the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, it took over 10 years. So this isn't something that happens overnight. Yeah. Kamala Harris and I talk regularly about what we can do when they are elected. And so I'm going to come back on November 4th, and we're going to talk about some good things and not talk about so many of these heartbreaking cases where they keep killing our people on the streets and then killing us in the courtrooms with these trumped-up felony convictions.
Well, yo, we're going to keep building. Benjamin Crump, I know you got to bust a move. Thank you so much for always, making time for us, to give us your energy and keeping us abreast of what's going on. We support you. We salute you, and shout out to everybody that's out there on the front lines fighting a good fight, making good trouble.
We are the Morning Hustle.